Hey, it's AW and we back today, guys. And today I wanted to discuss Ichigo's twin Bankais. Now, Ichigo's twin, and the reason I want to discuss Ichigo's twin Bankais is due to the soon release of the Thousand Year Blood War Arc Part 2. Ichigo's twin Bankais do not have two Shikais or two Bankais, while some have stated this and some do believe this. And while he does wield dual swords, they are as one, just like Captain Kyoraku. If you would notice, the Stern Riders were unable to steal Ichigo's Bankai in the Thousand Year Blood War Arc Part 2. That is due to the hollow and quenching powers that are within him. Ichigo's dual Bankai is extremely powerful due to his dual souls being contained within the swords. For example, Ichigo's hollow blood makes him a threat to. Ichigo is using a branch of Kenjutsu called ninjutsu. For those that are unaware, this particular sword style was founded by a guy named Miyamoto Musashi. Miyamoto Musashi is a sword saint, a legend within Japanese mythology, and I do believe there are some historical records that say that this was a real guy. But nevertheless, he emphasized using two swords as one. So Musashi was one of the greatest sword saints to have ever hailed from Japan. So you ask yourself, why the history lesson? Well, I'm giving the history lesson because what many don't realize is the small sword is for offensive, while Ichigo's larger one is utilized as his primary weapon for defense and offense. The small sword has a greater offensive power than the larger sword. Now, I mentioned earlier that Ichigo only has one Shikai, but I truly believe due to the fusion of his Zanpakuto, he has two release states. I believe Ichigo's Shikai is the first release state. If you will notice, after the time skip, after the battle with Yacht, Ichigo is seen with one sword on his back, meaning that is probably his Zanpakuto in its unreleased state, while the two sword style is his Shikai, and the merging of the two swords triggers a Bankai release state for his swords and also Ichigo's Bankai as well when he goes into his Bankai form. See, we have to remember that Espada have Resurrection, an equivalence to Bankai, but unlike Bankai, when the Espada release their Zanpakuto, their bodies undergo a transformation. I believe Ichigo undergoes this type of transformation as well, making Ichigo one of the most powerful characters in all of Shonen. We even have to note that Ichigo's Bankai, just like the Espada's Resurrection, gives the Espada enhanced physical capabilities. Many of the Espadas, when they release their Resurrections, receive physical attributes or enhanced abilities that help them rival even the power of Bankais. When we look at Ichigo's hollow release state from his tri-merged hollow form, while the Soul Reaper's Bankais activate a special ability, and usually when the Soul Reaper's Bankais activate their special ability, their appearance change. They change to their true appearance. So when we look at Ichigo's hollow release state from his tri-merge hollow form, you notice he received a horn and marking over his eyes, similar to Yokuria's markings over his eyes when he went into his resurrection. Ichigo also receives new abilities not sourced from his Zanpakuto, such as Acero and high-speed regeneration, are in this release state. Even in his release state, he was able to grab a sword, a feat he was unable to do before acquiring his tri-merge hollow form. When we look at Ichigo's previous encounter with Base Yacht, Base Yacht easily overpowered Ichigo. He was much stronger than him. You could easily see him toss him down with one hand. But after going into his Bankai and tri-merge hollow form, Ichigo easily received a boost in physical strength, and also his merge Bankai is capable of mixing his powers to create a Getsuga Tesho mixed with a Cero, while also retaining his ability to use normal Ceros as well. One thing to highlight is Ichigo does retain his powers after his battle with Yacht. I know some were saying he will lose his abilities, and while Kubo could still go down that path, I think it's safe to say that this arc was about Ichigo finding himself and learning who he is and what he is capable of, and what he's willing to sacrifice as well. The Aizen arc was more along the lines, was Ichigo willing to sacrifice power to save the world? Because had Aizen succeeded, he was planning on throwing off the balance to the bleached cosmology similar to Yacht, but at a much lower scale, as Yuha bought the power to shape the world itself. This Thousand Year Blood War arc, part 2, is about the Shinigami past mistakes, as well as Ichigo developing his newfound powers. Ichigo did receive an increase in attack potency after receiving his new Bankai, but to what extent is questionable. When Ichigo was at his strongest, when he was in full hollow or form, and when he was in EOS Ichigo during the Aizen arc, the end of the series Ichigo form during the Aizen arc. He conducted crazy feats, such as blasting a hole through the Hell Dimension when he was in full hollow form. And when he fought Aizen, he was destroying mountains with one swing and easily able to react to Aizen's teleportation. Dungai Ichigo, or EOS Ichigo, was what Ichigo would have been had he only developed his Shinigami powers. Fully hollowed Ichigo is what Ichigo would have been if he had fully developed his powers through his hollow. Thing that we saw in the Hell arc where Ichigo blew a hole through the dimension of Hell, that would have been his full power. Dangai Ichigo had higher physical capabilities than fully hollowed Ichigo. Dangai Ichigo, or EOS Ichigo, was faster and stronger than fully hollowed Ichigo, while fully hollowed Ichigo had a higher energy projection, as one Cero nearly destroyed Hell and blew a hole through to the human universe in Bleach. One thing we have to consider, power scalers, for this new Ichigo's Bankai. Ichigo has two souls within him, so we have to consider that the two souls combined with his Quincy powers makes him a force to reckon with. When we're discussing Ichigo, we have to understand that the reason EOS Ichigo was faster and stronger than fully hollowed Ichigo is because the Shinigami in themselves, while they do rely on their Bankai, they also rely on other combat capabilities, such as Shumpo, such as Hado. They train their bodies, martial arts, hand-to-hand combat. They train their bodies. It is more than likely, if Ichigo were to be just a Shinigami, those physical capabilities will be true. Now, the Hollows, the Espadas, have higher energy projection within the Bleach verse. It's just seen. That is why Ichigo's power was able to blow a hole through the dimension of Hell. It's a crazy feat when you think about it. And now he's combining his EOS Ichigo with his hollow form to make a tri-merge hollow form. We have no idea what Ichigo is capable of, but I do know he was capable of destroying a god. It's going to be fun to watch this Thousand Year Blood War Art Part 2. Stay tuned for more videos, guys. I'll be discussing Ichigo in more depth as well. Also, stay tuned for my other videos. I'll be doing a Gurren Lagann video coming soon. This is AW, and I'm out.